Greetings, Internet. Welcome to Aaron Plays. In this episode, I'm going to be looking at Traveller and creating a Traveller character for the Mongoose 2nd edition. I'm going to be using the core rules, which I've gone through already. Well, I did a look through of it. So creating the character on using this book and some of the rules from this book, which I'll also do at some point a full look through. I will also be creating the character using Roll20, as I'm going to use that as a platform to play my solo game. So that's where we're at. I will now transfer us to the computer, and well, I'm on the computer at the present moment, but I'll transfer you to the screen and we'll start the character creation process. This is the screen. This is what I call my start screen, and this is the character. I took a picture from, I can't remember where, made a token of him, and thought this is the guy I would like to be my lead character in a solo game. So I'm going to try and steer the character creation towards making this dude, whose name is Glodow Jufric. It was a name that the Roll20 just randomly generated, and I normally change it, but I thought, it's not a bad name. So we'll use it. We'll go with the flow. So when it comes to character creation, so the normal thing, the first thing, I'd like to have a mental image of who the character is, which is the dude. So I've already got the name. I haven't got a background for him as yet, because that will be just auto-generated by the system that we'll use. So bringing up the character sheet. Okay, if I click on this, that's the base character sheet, which Roll20 has. Someone's generated and built the character sheet into the system. So you've got these various tabs here, which scroll through the skills, what the guy's carrying, their combat abilities, powers, which is primarily psionics, and any notes we want to take. Well, the first note is I'm going to roll some dice to generate the basic stats. I'm going to roll 6 sets of dice, and this is a 2d6 system. 4 of those rolls will be using 2d6. 2 of them will be using what's called the boon system in this, which is rolling 3d6 and discarding the lower dice. Now, the purpose for that is, well, I'll say the purpose is this is a suggestion in the Traveller Companion book, which was that second book I showed you, which says alternate characteristic determination. So this gives this, as they say, practically guarantees a traveller to have at least decent scores in the areas they desire. Because I'll be rolling the 6 sets of dice and then applying to them where I want them to be. So I can make notes in here, and this is where I'll make the notes. I'm going to move this to the slide to the side, sucking on my own tongue there, and roll the 3d6 first. Hides them. So there we go. Doesn't necessarily equal that they'll roll well. So discard the lowest dice. That's a 5. Okay. Then we'll do that again. That's an 8. So that's a bit better. Okay. Now it's rolling 2d6. See? 2d6 will get better scores. Oh well. That's a 9. We've got 4 of these to do. That's another 9. That's a 5. And then the last one I do love that. So there we go. So it's now, where do I want to assign those stats? So looking at his picture, yeah. So you've got strength, dexterity, and endurance are the physical stats, and intellect, education, and social are the the brain stats, the intelligence stats, and such forth. So yeah, the non-physical. This guy does look like he's quite rugged. So I'm going to at least assign a 9 in his endurance. Okay, so use one of those guys up. We've got 2 5s, sorry. So I'm going to say he's not actually going to be that dexterous. I wouldn't say exactly clumsy, but yeah, not. And that leaves him with a modifier of -1. So he's not going to trip up every time he walks through a door, but he's yeah, he's going to have to hire someone who's a little bit more on the lithe scale. I do see him quite strong. He's a burly guy, so I'm going to give him a 8 on his strength. Okay, so which gives him no modifier, as you can see on there. So I want him to be pretty smart. So now, which is more important, intellect or we'll tell you what, we're going to give him a 10 in his intellect. He's a clever dude. Okay, so that gives him a +1 bonus. But I'm going to have that he wasn't well educated. Or social standing. No, we'll make him fairly well educated. We'll give him a 9 in there, and we'll say he comes from a slightly rambunctious background. So that will complete his physical or his stats in the initial part of the character creation. So the next step is to give him some background skills, stuff that he learns prior to the actual character creation. Well, we're in character creation, but prior to actually deciding where or what careers he wants. This is what he learns from effectively prior to being 18 years old. And the amount of these are skills. You get 3 of these skills, plus your education die roll modifier. So he's going to get 4 background skills because his die roll modifiers there is +1. So let's have a look at the skills page. Now there's nothing shown here at the present moment, but we can select the skills to show. Well, initially he's got a choice of admin, animals or arts, athletics, carouse, drive, electronics, flyer, language, mechanic, medic, some form of profession, science, seafarer, streetwise, survival, and vac-suit. And he gets these 4 skills at level 0. Now, what that actually means is when he writes a roll for that skill, he'll get no modifier. Any skill that you don't even have at level 0, you're at -3, showing that you're unskilled in that. Now, this is where I've got to start thinking, where do I want this character to go? I want him to be a leader of the team. So, and probably the career I want him to go on to is either a scout or in the military, because I want him to have a starting spaceship. I want to give him the best chance of getting a starting spaceship, which makes the, rather than sort of traveling around as a passenger. So what would I think would be probably best for all that? Okay. So these are background skills, as I said. So let's give him, well, vac suit for a start. So if I click on that, that brings up that skill. Okay. And his skill level is going to be 0. He's no longer untrained in that. How it is based on his dexterity. So yeah, he's still a -1. But we've got his vac suit up. What else? Well, if he's going to be the captain, well, hopefully the captain of the ship, I believe he's going to need some admin skill. So let's add admin to that. That will also be untrained, and that'll be based on his education. So if he rolls that skill, he will be at +1. I'm just showing this as well, how interactive this character sheet is. If I now click admin, it'll ask me if I want any modifier. No. Submit. Rolls the dice, and if we actually look on the taskbar, okay, it shows that he's made a roll. We'll click on the number. It tells me it's rolled 2d6 at +1, plus no additional modifiers. It rolled a 1 and a 4, +1 is 5, +1, 6. And it shows how that die roll came about. So if I look at his vac suit and make a roll, again, no modifier. Rolls the dice on the display, comes up with a 5, and it shows the modifiers on there. So that's his first 2 background skills. So what are we going to do next? He's got 2 more. I think he should have drive. The drive, there we go. And again, so this will be trained, again based on his dexterity. And then finally, do I see when the streetwise there looks quite interesting? Science, mechanic. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. No, let's give him some electronics skill. He dabbled. So there's electronics, based again on his education. And notice you can add specialities. You only really get specialities once you've gone beyond skill rank 0. So that's his character background. He's sitting there with those skills. He's 18 years old. Where does he go from there? So the next option is a pre-career education. Do we want this guy to, the actual core rulebook offers 2 options, which is university or military academy. Now, I think, I'll just double check this, that there are other options, pre-career options, in that additional book I showed you, the Traveller Companion. So there is a colonial upbringing, a merchant academy, a Zionic community. I'm not playing Zionics yet. The School of Hard Knocks, or the Spacer community. So yeah, let's go with the Spacer community. Now, should I have done something for looking at pre-career options? You know what? No, I won't use any of those. I will stick with the core book for that. That's a decision made. So, university or military academy? Well, I want him to be a scout rather than a soldier. So let's see if he can get into university. So the book says he needs an education 6+. That means he's got to make an education roll and score 6 or higher. So let's see if he can convince the university board to allow him in. There's no modifier to this other than his natural education score. And they take one look at him and say, nah, sorry. Because 2 + 2 is 4, +1 is 5. So no, they don't want to know him. Maybe that's because it was, oh no, we didn't use social as a background, as a role modifier. But maybe, you know, this is where we start creating. Why would the university reject his application? It's a bit rude, isn't it? But no. So therefore, is he allowed? Let's try for the military academy then. So yeah, so before joining a military, you must decide whether it's going to be the Army, Marines, or Navy. Well, he'll try the Navy because, as I say, he still wants. I, as the player, still want to be a scout. So let's try for the Navy. That's based on his intelligence. He needs an 8+. So let's see if they like the look at him. Again, no additional modifier other than his own intellect. No, the Navy are a bit of a snobs as well. I'm going to say he's been rejected from both of those options due to his social standing. The university didn't want to know because, you know, maybe he's got a bit of a, you know, sort of hand-dog attitude because of his social standing. But, and the military academy, well, Navy, they are a bit of the snobs anyway. So neither of the pre-education options were open to him. So at the age of 18, he's made 2 applications, been rejected for both. So he will try and join the career of a scout at the tender age of 18. Okay, so each of these careers has a qualification for entry. So if I go to the scout page, he will need, okay, so this is for members of the exploratory service. Qualification is intelligence 5+. So he's got to roll 5 on his intellect. I said intelligence, I meant intellect. So he's failed so far, but let's have a look. Come on, he's got to make one of these. Scouts don't want him. What's this guy doing? Is he farting in his interviews or something? Dear, oh dear. He's not a lucky chap. So the scouts don't want him. What does that actually mean? So, qualification says if you fail this check, you cannot enter your chosen career this term. You must either submit to the draft or take the drifter career for this term. If you leave a career, you cannot return to it in the next term. So, the draft. Okay, so it's rolling on the draft table, 1d6. Let's have a look. 5. Okay, so he went for an interview as a scout, and they said no, sorry, for whatever reason. But then on the draft table, he's rolled a 5, which is scout. Okay, so you could be drafted into a career you were previously in but got ejected from. Okay, so yeah, he waited at home rather miserable, must have been feeling absolute disconsolate. You know, he's failed at getting into university. He's failed at getting into military academy. He's actually gone to the service that he wants to join, and they've said no. Goes home. There's an email or whatever they have in the Third Imperium in the future, a transmitted message. He opens it up, says, "You have been drafted into the Scout Service," and he just shakes his head, like I'm shaking my head, saying, "The world is a funny place, or the universe is a funny place." So okay, so he's now in the Scout Services. So as I said, these are members of the Exploratory Service. Scouts explore new areas, map and survey known or newly discovered areas, and maintain communication ships which carry information and messages between the worlds of the Imperium and, well, of the galaxy. So now he can choose an assignment. He can be a courier, where he will be responsible for shuttling messages and high-value packages around the galaxy. A surveyor, you visit border worlds and assess their worth. Or an explorer, you go wherever the map is blank, exploring unknown worlds and uncharted space. So he can choose one of those assignments in this particular career. So if we go back now to the prime on here, we've got character history, recent history. I'm not sure what this is for. Okay, no, we don't want any of that. Character history. So we can type in there term 1. Okay, each of these terms is 4 years. So this will be between his age of 18 and 22. Okay, and we know he's in the Scout services by the draft. Okay, so from that he will pick up some basic skills. Okay, so we've done the background, pre-career education, start new term. So choose career and roll for qualification. So he's got to go through what's called basic training. Okay. So basic training for your first career only, instead of rolling for a skill, you get all the skills listed on the service skills table at level 0 as your basic training. For subsequent careers, you may pick any one skill. So he's getting all the skills that are listed for Scouts. Quite a bit back and forth on these pages, so, but yeah, finding the page. All right, so service skills. He will learn the following: pilot, survival, mechanic, astrogation, vac suit, and gun combat. And these are all at level 0. The citizens and drifters are an exception, so we're not a citizen or a drifter. Okay, so I'm going to update those skills. So his first service skill is pilot. So we put that in there. Again, he's not going to be a great pilot because of his actual dexterity. He'll probably need to, once I have him in charge of a spaceship, he'll probably need to hire a pilot. But that's his first skill. Remember, these are all at level 0, unless he's already got them. Survival. So let's have a look at where survival is. I do know my alphabet, honestly. Okay. Again, that's trained. So his intellect gives him a +1. And that nicely, he's put these in alphabetical order. He also picks up mechanic. Again, at level 0. His education helps there. Astrogation. There it is. Okay. Chart into space. Vac suit. Now he's already got vac suit from his background, so he gains 1 point in that skill. So his skill level is 0. It's now gone up to 1, which counteracts his natural dexterity in that. And then he earns the ability to shoot a gun. Okay. He's trained, but he's not a good shot, again, determined by his dexterity. But hopefully he'll overcome it. So that's his basic training complete. What we now need to, I didn't actually choose. So at this point, I'm going to choose which assignment he's going to be. And I'm going to go back to that history there. And we're going to say, Courier, Surveyor, or Explorer. You visit border worlds and assess the world, or go where the map is blank. Let's have him go where the map is blank. So we're going to call him an Explorer. Explorer assignment. There we go. So now he actually has to make a survival roll. Now, in the original Traveller, if you didn't make the survival roll, you were dead. This is not the case with the Mongoose second edition. Survival roll, if you fail it, you then roll what's called the mishaps table. Because the actual character generation goes through. So you go get your career skills, you then determine survival. If you do survive, you then have either mustering out or an event, and then an advancement if possible. So Explorer is endurance 7+. Now endurance is one of his upper ratings, so he's got one modifier and he needs to roll 7 or higher. Now he hasn't been very good on these rolls, but let's see how he does. Oh, he scraped through by the chin. Yeah. It was a tough initiation, 4 years. And let's see what actually happens to him as an event. So that's a 2d6 roll. Each of these careers has its own event table, okay, which is unique to itself. So he's rolled a 5, and it tells me you perform an exemplary service for the Scouts. Gain a +1 DM to any one benefit roll. Okay. I'm going to have to put that in the notes section to remind myself that that is the case. So +1 on the benefit roll to 1 benefit roll. Benefit rolls is when you muster out. You're telling me I can't spell benefit? No. Spelling is not one of my strong points. Okay, going back on that prime. So he had exemplary service. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually typing from the spelling in the book. Exemplary service. So he then, so we've just done his event. It does ask, do I want to connect to another traveller? Now, as I mentioned in the prior video, it does encourage character creation with other characters, and you make contacts which allow them build with other characters as they're being created. So they have a contact link, which makes you don't have to meet in a tavern basically to get the adventure going. So, but obviously I'm doing this solo. However, in that book that I did mention earlier, the Traveller Companion, there is a way to create these contact links when you're playing solo. So let me just get that book. So it says under solo generation, creating a traveller on your own works just like normal, with the following minor changes. So it says, instead of making connections to other travellers, the referee, which is also me, should provide a list of characters, organisations, or places in the campaign suitable for connections. So, well, they're obviously going to be quite a lot. I haven't made up any of those as yet, but so I'm going to put a note there. +1 connection. Now, what connections do? They allow you to improve one of the skills that you have, or add a skill that the connection has given you. So I haven't determined that as yet, but that'll be one of the things that that note there, and I might actually put that in the note section as well. There we go. might have something to do with the exemplary service that he did in that first term. Okay, so the next thing we've got to look at is advancement. Did he actually improve during that career, during that term? Did he actually make an impact so far that he actually becomes rank 1 rather than staying at rank 0? So let's have a look. So this, again, each of the career progresses, each of those assignments has its own little mini table, and it's telling me as an explorer he needs to roll education 7+ to make an advancement. Let's do this. Submit that. He did. So that exemplary service got him noticed, and he became rank 1, a scout. He's got an official title of scout. Okay, so rank 1, scout, advancement. What that also does, it allows him to, if you make any advancement, you get a choice of an additional skill, and also if the rank has any additional skills, which this one does, you gain that as well. So that the additional skill he gains as becoming a scout was vac suit 1. Well, he's already got vac suit 1, so that now improves again to vac suit 2. He's getting fairly decent in operating in, well, 0 atmosphere and probably in and about the outside of the ship. So yes, now let's see what kind of skills he can improve. When he makes that advancement roll. So you can take the skills from it. There's basically, normally there's 3, possibly 4 options open to look at. Each of these options has a die roll, and you roll a dice of 1d6 from there. So there's a personal development, which you can always make it from there. So these gives them rolls a chance of improving strength, dexterity, endurance, intellect, education, or maybe you can get in jack of all trades, which is a useful skill. The service skills we've already gone through, those are all at 0 apart, which is from the vaccine. But if he rolls on that table, he could improve one of those to level 1. And then there's the assignment table, which in this case would be either electronics, pilot, engineer, science, stealth, or recon. So those are the basic 3, but also because his education is higher than 8, he can roll on the advanced education table, which could give him medic, language, seafarer, explosives, science, or again, jack of all trades. Well, I'm going to actually go for a personal development roll, because hopefully we can get that dexterity from 5. That's what I'm hoping, but you never know. He could improve his education, improve his intellect. Let's see what the D6, what the dice gods determine. 4. He improved his intellect. That goes to an 11. And that was his bonus roll. Hasn't improved his modifier yet, but it will do eventually if he does that again. So that was his bonus roll, and that will actually complete the first term. So at that point, you've got to determine if he wants to carry on, choose a different career, carry on in this career, choose a different career, or actually begin play. So he's 22 years of age at the present moment. I think we want, I mean, looking at that picture, he's got a bit of grey in his hair. So I think we don't want to start playing him now. We want to actually get him to be a bit older. And as I've determined, he wants to be in the Scouts. Let's keep him in the Scouts. So those are the skills. after the first term, he's 22 years old, and I haven't determined race. Well, he's obviously human looking at that picture, so I'm going to put that in there. Rads. We haven't got any, that's how much radiation he's absorbed. Age, he's 22 at the present moment. We'll hopefully improve that. And homeworld, I'll work out that before we start play, or before the next episode, because I don't want these episodes to run too long. So this will be episode 1. I'm going to bring back, so I'm going to stop the screen share. So that's the start of the character creation using Roll20. I had to do a little bit of setup on the Roll20 to get it to work for Traveller. I was in the 2d6. I did put in the little things near the bottom of the screen where it automatically rolls 2d6 and little macros. The actual character sheet's got a lot of the macros that work quite nicely. So we've completed the character's first term. In the next episode, I will do the next couple of terms, or see if we can actually complete the character creation. As I said, I don't want these videos to be too long. Just getting it going. And yeah, at some point I will go through the Traveller Companion book. There are some nice little additions in here to the actual core book, and it will add. What I will do for the rest of the crew, I mean, I'm going in detail with this character creation. I won't go in the kind of detail of the rest of the crew. I want to have eventually 4 characters, and those are the characters that I'll start the actual game with. So I hope you enjoyed that. Again, if you haven't done so, please hit that like button. It does help with the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And any comments or suggestions or little background information that you can think of this character, I can see where I want him to go, but if you guys want to interdict or add things on, that'll be much appreciated. So until next time, bye internet.